I'm doing good, doing well. Working on a bunch of new stuff, so have the store that's still going pretty well. We've been doing lots of string in, racket sales, all the above. I'm consultant as well, based on my bioengineering training and PhD. But the real purpose of today is to talk about the Wilson RF series, and specifically how I think this can fit into Wilson's overall racket strategy, and my thoughts are. So again, I'm not paid by Wilson to say this. I wish I were paid by Wilson to say this, but this is just my own thoughts. All right, so first of all, let's start out with the elephant in the room. Why is the RF not doing well? And I think it starts off with the fact that it was poorly marketed and branded to start, right? It is a phenomenal racket. The entire line, I see the Future and the RF Pro, they're really, really good. Players, frames, that's a real emphasis on player, right? So let's start with the good, right? So the RF Pro, it gets better the more you play with it. Like it's not the most forgiving frame. It's very precise. It's powerful. Good spin, not crazy spin like a arrow, but it's enough spin. But it's really for the attacking sort of player, one that values a big serve, good slice, ending the point quickly on a forehand or a backhand. It's great for the one-hander, also the two-hander as well. It's a little stiff, in my opinion, so it definitely needs a softer string setup. Now, let's get into the RF01, the regular one, and I think this one is like one that's it's one that needs customization, right? The RF Pro, I think, plays great stock, but RF01 needs customization. And at this point, once I've customized my RF01, it ended up being like 315 grams or so. And it turned into like a super spin friendly racket, one that I could take on the court and play with if like spin was my cup of tea. But I think Wilson should scrap the current RF01, the regular one, and use the RF Future. I think the RF Future is like probably the best one, the most applicable one on the line. And I think this is one that you could play in stock, good for juniors, good for people who like that sort of classic feel but don't want the heft of the pro staff. You should keep that one, right, the RF Future. But then also what I did, I've mentioned this before, but what I did for my wife's RF Future is I added like 6 or so grams to the tip, so it's a 12 o'clock. And then I added a heat shrink wrap, so about 14 grams, and the handle. So basically made it into a frame that was 300 grams, unstrung, with a strong swing weight of about 317, and really polarized. And so that's what I feel the RF regular should be. So the RF regular shouldn't be the wet noodle that it is now, but it should be basically a customized RF Future. Right, so now my thoughts are, yes, the RF endorsement is great, but I think you need to pair that with the fact that this is sort of Wilson's take on the modern or next gen spin line, right? Attack and spin line. And the way that I would sort of categorize like these classic Wilson frames. This is something I'm going to call classic Wilson frames. I'd say there are 3 buckets. I'd say there's the next gen line, next gen classic, which would be the RF series, the RF Pro, RF01. and the RF Future. Then I would say there's the modern classic. So bring back the RF Autograph because that's then just an awesome racket. And keep the Pro Ceph, right? The Pro Ceph, the 97, the 315 gram. Get rid of the Pro Ceph, the light version, because I don't think anybody, I don't know, I just really didn't see the purpose in the Pro Ceph light. And so those would be the Pro Ceph 315 and then the RF 97 Autograph. I mean, maybe change the names, whatever, but those will be sort of the modern classics. And then the old school classic, right, or whatever you want to call it, keep the Pro Ceph 90 in that bucket, right? Don't do any marketing for it. Like, let it just sell itself. It's not going to cannibalize any sales. People who buy the 90 are going to be one on their own, right? So just have one shop somewhere. Doesn't have to be St. Vincent, but somewhere, right? That just has a mold of the 90 and prints whatever, like 1,000 of those a year, right? While it may not be a big cash bucket for Wilson, it sort of keeps in line with the fact that of Wilson's heritage and keeps that sort of classic feel within Wilson line, and it shows a commitment to customers, right? I think 3 years ago, I called for Wilson to re-release the Pro Ceph 90, and they did that this year, and within like a day, it was sold out, right? So there's something to it, like pay attention to your customers. So that's what I put into, I say the classics category. So basically merge the RF series and the Pro Ceph. And specific changes I make to RF series. Again, I mentioned how I'd scrap the regular RF01 and then instead have the RF01 be a customized RF Future. The other change I make across the RF line is to smooth out the butt cap. I made a video, right, a while ago about how I got cut with the butt cap of the RF series. And like a friend of mine watched the video and like we all smiled and all that stuff until he got cut with the RF series. Until my wife also got cut with the butt cap in the RF series. So yeah, it looks cool, but function over looks. You can still make it look cool, just shape it down, make it smooth. RF Pro, I think it's a very, I think it's great as is, but if you're gonna make any sort of change to it, I'd say just soften it up just a tad, just a hair, right? Because right now I feel a little bit locked in terms of my string choices because I literally can't use any string I want in that racket because I could get discomfort. So I have to lean towards softer strings or hybrids. So with the other RFs, with the Future, it's plenty soft enough, and I think it's no need to soften it up anymore. But the RF Pro, especially with that leather grip, or it feels a bit stiff. So those are the two changes I make. What else? I would also add junior rackets to the RF series, so like a 25-inch like performance racket and maybe a 26-inch. And with those, perhaps either increase the head size to 100, or just open up the string pattern a bit, so make it perhaps like a 16, 18. I think you can still retain that sort of classic, like modern, or the next gen classic. That's my name, next gen classic RF feel, but just open it up a bit to make it easier for juniors. So have that 25, 26, and like I think that would really, really resonate with at least what I heard with on August 8th, 2024, when Roger said like he wants this to be rackets where all people can use, right? And if you learn tennis the right way, learn it by knowing that your racket and strings are not gonna be some panacea for all. right? That it's really your form, your movement, right? And that's what I feel this sort of the RF series, the Pro Set, that's what I feel they embody, right? So that's my take on those. Um, the other Wilson lines, Blade, like obviously is a staple. The Blade, the V9 is an awesome frame. I love it. Definitely keep that going strong. Ultra, I haven't tried that yet. I'm really looking forward to trying it, but Ultra's going well. What else do we have? The Shift. Shift is a hot mess. I like, it's one of those things where it's nice in theory, good for, but I sort of don't like the fact that the Shift is sort of capped in terms of the level you can play with it. Like, I think it's definitely for like 4.0 or below, but like there are just some like inconsistencies on shots. So like it feels great on the forehand, but not good on a two-handed backhand. Feels pretty good on the one-hander. When you add weight, it doesn't really respond too well. So those are the things where the Shift, I'm just like, yeah, I'm not sure where it really fits in to the overall line, right? So I think those are the main ones. Clash, obviously the Clash is the comfort series, and I like what Wilson did with the V3. They made it actually playable, right? So you, like when I'm selling the Clash, like typically I'm like, okay, yeah, you want something that's comfortable, you've had a history of eye trouble, blah, blah, blah. But I actually took that Clash out to play, and I was just like, this actually plays kind of nice. I mean, I wouldn't use it for a match that matters, but I could see myself like having like a good like hidden session using the Clash. So definitely keep the Clash. And the last thing I'd say is like Wilson is one of the industry leaders in rackets, right? And we have this this sort of mode that I think maybe it was Babylon that set it up, where it's you have this division of rackets into like the power, the spin, and the control. And Babylon has done an awesome job in terms of that sort of marketing and that setting up their rackets that way. But with Wilson, I don't think they necessarily have to conform to that, right? Because obviously you have the Blade and the Pro Staff, which have been marketed as control rackets, and you have the RF, which is a control, maybe a racket with a little bit more power, and like blah, 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 blah. So I think for Wilson, right, we don't necessarily need to do that, but perhaps they could do something else and just embrace the fact that they are who they are, right? Have a lot of great frames that may not necessarily fall into one particular bucket, but really encompasses different sort of combinations. So that's my take on that. And let's see what happens. Maybe in 3 years, we'll have my, Wilson will say like, oh, maybe we should have these classic lines, call it the RF, the next gen classic, the modern classic, and like the classic, the antiques. All right, thanks for listening. I will try and show more match footage, but that's what it is for now. And hopefully this few nuggets were helpful on the Wilson series. Maybe I should talk about head, but I think I'll need like an entire PhD dissertation to talk about head. Look at Beckett. I think Beckett Chung from Tencom, he did a really good job talking about the different lines within head. All right.